So welcome back to my studio. I've just been writing in my journal, and this is my kind of ideas journal, if you like. So it's really scribbly and messy, there's nothing arty and fancy about it. But having a cup of tea as well, so let's have some tea. That's good and needed. So I've not slept very much in the last few weeks, really. I'm struggling a little bit to keep it all together, if you like. And I've been getting to the studio. Well, let's just rewind a bit. So yesterday was a bit comedy because I woke up really early, first of all, and so I got up, did my yoga, did my morning stuff, if you like, and then got to the studio before 9, so nice and bright and early, pat on the back, and then the heating was broken again. It had been really cold in the night, almost a frost, not quite, and my room was really cold, Baltic. The communal areas were cold, but the offices this side of the building were freezing. And so because I'd spent time and fuel in the car, getting in, I was kind of thinking, oh, I'll be a bit stubborn and stay and do a bit. So I tried, and after 5 minutes my hands started going numb, and I just thought, no, I'm just giving up. So I almost literally went straight home again. And I know it's really bad, and people keep telling me I need to find a new studio and this, that and the other. But studios are really difficult to find around here. And I'm really lucky to have a private room in this building, and there's other things at play. I'm okay bearing with, if you like. So yeah, the people looking after the building are on it. Let's just say that much. So. And the exciting thing is I have heat today. So James got in really, really early this morning. He got here about 8 o'clock, and then he messaged me and said, we've got heat. So I thought, yay, I can come in. I wasn't going to bother. Anyway, the ongoing saga of the heating in this building. But I thought I'd just have a little chat about journals, definitely. I've got some plans and plots just over there, actually, so I'll show you in a little while. Some ideas I've had about how I want to create a few of my own journals to work in myself, and how I'm going to do it, because I haven't made books for years. I used to make books in the classroom with the children when I was a school teacher, and I actually went on a bookbinding course. My head teacher put me on it, and it was absolutely fantastic, and it taught me like Japanese bookbinding and stitching and all sorts of things. And I can't remember a thing right now. Typical, isn't it? So I'm hoping it comes back to me, and if not, I'll have a little Google around YouTube or something like that and see if I can remember. But I'm just basically going to sew some bits and bobs together and play with some cover ideas that I've got. I'll show you it all in a minute because it'll make more sense. Some people have messaged me and said they really don't feel creative at the moment, in the sense that they're not creating themselves, but just the act of watching someone else create can bring you the healing benefits of it as well, and all the hormones and things like that that flush into your system when you get creative. So don't panic if you're not in that I am creating stage. You're in the I am getting inspired stage. I'm getting my juices flowing stage. I'm in my percolating stage. I do that a lot. So in the process of my percolating stage, if you like, this morning, I have been going through pretty much all my old journals, and I showed you there was a basket on my table and also a load of journals on the shelf over there, as well as the journals I showed you on my table in last week's video. So what I did this morning was just grab a few of my older journals. I didn't want it to be too overwhelming, so I didn't have too many, but 2 or 3, I think. And I've just been flicking through them, and I'm thinking of ripping them up and grabbing things out of them that are still current for me. Now, I know some of you got a little bit upset last week when I said I was going to feng shui some of my journals, and they thought I was going to bin them. I'm not going to bin them. I'm going to recycle and reuse them, because even though it's really nice to keep a lot of old journals, and some of the things I will keep because they spark nice memories and it reminds me of where I was, or quotes that I loved and where I was at in my life wherever I was, whenever it was. And that is really lovely to have that kind of memory box, if you like. But when we sold our house and everything that we owned and ran away in a van for several years in a most unexpected fashion, or let me say for a most unexpected amount of time anyway, I got rid of quite a lot of my sentimental stuff, if you like. So I'm not talking about my journals here, I'm talking about cards I'd been given, photographs, all sorts of things. I feng shuied through them all. I decluttered everything and minimised it down to things that really brought me true value from the memories, if you like. So I didn't want too much clutter and clobber stuff, if you like. And so last year I made a video showing the setup of my current writing journal. I reuse things from older journals in that as well. So it's something I do from time to time when I want to reignite or set up a new journal or something like that. And so, like I explained last week, I'm getting to that point where I want to softly and gently review the year. And I'm not going full on with that because it's too much. And the other thing I want to do is set up some wishes, some intentions, plant some seeds for next year. And I want to do it a little bit early this year. Part of my journal quest of finding the perfect journal, as I talked about last week. By the way, just to say at this point, I dipped into the comments on Saturday morning. I try to limit my time on the social media, so I haven't answered any of the comments yet, but I did read a load of comments on Saturday morning and I found loads and loads of ideas of journals that you suggested, so thank you so much for that. I also dipped into suggestions from my Instagram story and also from my Patreons as well, and everyone had some really great ideas and I wrote them all down. I've got a list in my book. And I did a lot of internet searching at the weekend. Anyway, suffice to say, I decided to order another Strathmore, a different Strathmore. One that I nearly went for, but I went for a hardcover and not a soft cover. And I went for a smaller rather than a larger. So this time, it might actually arrive today so I can show you, but this time I've gone for a larger journal. And so fingers crossed, I like it. And then the other thing I've decided to do, like I said a minute ago, is to make a few of my own books. Finally, in my quest and my search at the weekend, I found the most amazing planner / diary, because I don't want to bullet journal, but I do need to keep track of where I'm at each week and sort of, I need a monthly overview, which I use my Peter Rabbit calendar. So yeah, it's one of those, so that's kind of how it goes. You hang it up. Well, usually you would hang it up, but I actually bring it around as my organiser and it goes everywhere with me. Now, you might notice it's quite big, so it's not hugely practical. So I've ordered a booklet version with monthly planners in, and also a week to view. I'll show you when it arrives because I want to make sure I really like it before I recommend it. But anyway, I have high expectations of it, so watch this space. But it's kind of the final layer, if you like, to the journals I want to have. And I want to have, I think for the first time in ages, a clear intention and purpose for each of my journals. So I discussed a little bit last week about needing multiple journals and not being able to do everything in one book. That's just me. So you may have one book that rules them all, if you like. Not me. But I think instead of having at the minute where I've got like a painting book, one of my Khadi books that I showed you last week, and I've got some painting in there, I've got some art journaling in there, that doesn't feel compartmentalised enough for me, if you like. I want to be a little bit more organised and a little bit clearer about what the purpose for each book / journal is. And so I think that's what I'm going to do from now on. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Oh, journals. And the other thing that keeps popping up for me is that I'd really like to do a journal page about filling the cup and giving from the saucer. So we've talked about that loads of times, haven't we? Where your cup's so overflowing because you're filling it with self-love and self-care and all that good stuff that we should be doing. And I'm doing my best, so I hope you are as well. And then we can shine our lights out there, can't we? Because we've all got lights to shine. And if someone else sees our light shining, that might help lift and light them up as well. So it's all about keeping that light as bright as we possibly can. And for us in the Northern Hemisphere anyway, we are heading in towards winter now. So things have got cold and darker and cozier, and it's much more about cocooning and hibernating. And so I think I said in a few videos ago, I said, shine your light when you can and cocoon when you need. Yeah, I think I said that. So I'm feeling some pages coming up, and I'd like those thoughts and phrases and things that are coming up for me in the front of my new journal. And I've got a few ideas for that, so I'll share that as I go along. But apart from that, I don't have a plan for my journals. I know there's going to be quotes, there's going to be thoughts, there's going to be doodles, there's going to be collage, plus the older pages that I'm going to bring out from the archives, if you like, dust them down and repurpose them to make them current and relevant and meaningful for right now. And you know, that might not work for everybody, because maybe you are the kind of person and you're really precious about your journals and you want to keep them intact. That's absolutely fine as well. There are other ways you can do this, which is copying, photocopying, or having some prints done, or typing things out again and things like that. So you could go through, for example, all of your journals and type up any quotes or memories or meaningful words and phrases that you wrote. And then you've got that as sort of journal fodder, if you like, for your collage box. I often do that with drawings and doodles, where you can basically print off a little drawing that you've done and colour it in different ways and that kind of thing. And that becomes journal fodder as well. But yes, I'm going to go through, I've got quite a lot of collage stuff in here. So that could be repurposed for my specific journaling fodder, if you like. Do I like the word fodder, or do I like the word treasure? Maybe it's journaling treasure rather than fodder. Yeah, because it is treasure. And I've always got really quick access then to the stuff. So it makes my journaling really easy and accessible, and then I'm more likely to do it. As I always say as well, it's about finding your own way with it and not feeling the pressure that someone else is doing it like that, so you have to do it like that. So some people find that when they're journaling, it can get a bit intense, and it can, because you might be soul searching some really difficult things and some tricky memories and things like that. So you may need a break, you may need regular breaks, you may not want to go down there, you may not be in the right place and the right time to go down there. So the timing has to be right and things like that. And maybe you just want to journal for joy and escape and light yourself up from the inside with it. And that's absolutely fine as well, of course. So do what you need to do when you need to do it, and don't be too worried about what's going on with everyone else. And get inspired. One of the ways you can get inspired is to have a look at your art supplies and see what colours you like and what colours you're drawn to that day and things like that. So there's loads of different things you can do to get inspired. And I think by gathering our journaling treasure and pottering through our art supplies, reminding ourselves of what we've got hidden away at the backs of drawers and things like that. What journaling ephemera have you got? Have you got any stamps that you haven't used? Any washi tape that's hiding? Do you need to buy some more glue? Do you need a few extra bits and bobs? Can you gather things around the house that you can reuse without spending any money? There's so many different things that you can do. But I think gathering our kit together and making it really easy and accessible, and having some kind of receptacle for all the stuff as well. So whether it's a box or a basket or a purse, or even if it's just a pile. Piles of stuff sometimes work, don't they? She says, looking around the room at the endless piles of stuff. I don't even show you over there because I know I tidied up, but it's not very tidy today. It's a good job James did the shop orders yesterday, because I've got all my stuff everywhere now. And I know I'm really lucky to have my own room to make a mess and leave all my stuff out and things like that. That's very different. But I haven't always had this. And so the days that we were living in a van, I had a tiny amount of art stuff with me, and also I couldn't leave my stuff out. So if I was, say, journaling on the bed, I had a couple of trays where I'd put my art supplies on, and then I could tuck that underneath the bed. I kind of had a little gap of about an inch. And I couldn't leave it there for travel mode, so when we were driving somewhere I'd have to put things away and make sure they were secure. But while we were stationary, if you like, when we were sort of camped, I could get my bits and bobs out and then tuck them under the bed to get into bed, say, for example. Or if I was working at the dining table, because we had a small dining table in the van, I could again just lift the trays off, and then we could do, you know, dinner time and stuff, so we could still live and I could move around. And there was one particular time where James went away for a weekend, and so I had the van completely to myself, and it used to have this really enormous, we called it the mantelpiece, but it was basically the dashboard at the front, and it was absolutely this enormous shelf. I'll try and find a photo and put it up here if I can delve back into the archives of my photographs. But I set up my art studio at the front, and I put my fairy lights up, I put the bunting up, I put all my art supplies out. I had the same drawing board that I've got that I work on here. Oh my gosh, such heaven, it really was. So sometimes you might have a box, a cardboard box that you have at the side of your sofa, or it lives under your bed. Or it might be a yoga mat, where I've done that before, where we were house sitting and I've spread my yoga mat and all my art supplies out on there. And that's given me my yoga mat studio, if you like. So not very big, but practical, and just sort of using what you have. And then if you're lucky to have a whole room or a corner or a table, then yeah, celebrate that and have your stuff out in whatever way you want. For me, that's quite a messy situation, but for you, you might have it a bit neater and a bit more organised. That might help you. And so, yeah, do your own thing. Get yourself settled in, if you like, with your stuff. And then the action of creativity, of journaling, of making something, of doing something, you get into your process much quicker. It feels more natural, if you like, and less pressure. I think it brings you straight away into your flow, because you've got all your stuff around, you've got the glue, the scissors, the cutting board, whatever it is that you need, your stampers, your Mod Podge, your matte medium, whichever glues you use. And I am going to talk to you about glue and adhesives and what I use and why, because it's probably my most frequently asked question, I should think. You know, journaling is about, for me anyway, when we talk about planting seeds and setting intentions and that kind of thing, it's all about making your dreams come true and finding out what it is that you want, and then using your journals to clarify and imagine and build up your dreams. And then things start to shift energetically, if you like, and it's almost like things magically start to shift and change, because you're putting your dreams out there, if you like. They're not just in your head, in your thoughts. You're actually putting something concrete out there. And I think that's why people really get a lot out of making vision boards and things like that. I've never made a vision board as such. I've only done them in my journals. And the reason I've done them in my journals and not sort of have them hanging around my space is because I always find them really, really private. And so I think if I had it hanging up around, I would feel a little bit shy about anyone seeing it and coming in my room, I suppose. So yeah, that's why I've always done them in my journals. But you know, like we say, do it your own way. If you want to have a big massive poster sized vision board, yeah, go for it, do that. Or you can do the tiniest little notes to yourself and tuck it away in a private little spot in your journal with all your hopes and wishes and dreams in it, and no one else will know it's there apart from you. And then you can go in there and get it out when you need to read it. So it's a really magical process, isn't it? And if you've never tried it, what are you waiting for? You've got nothing to lose apart from having a load of fun, if nothing else. Okay, I think I've waffled at you quite long enough for now. So ooh, all sorts of goodies. like the size and the soft cover, but look at all this kind of, I don't know if the camera's picking that up. And then some more inks as well. Okay, so first impressions of the journal then. Look at those sticky, funny marks on the front here. I don't know if the camera's picking that up very well. And then shabby on the back as well. Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed it's not in mint condition. Really expensive. I think it was about £23 now, so very expensive. Lovely size, and I really do like the soft cover. It's not completely flimsy, it's a little bit like faux leather actually. And then on the back the same. Looks like it'll open flat as well. I went for the watercolour paper, not the mixed media for some reason. Not sure why, I just thought I'd give that a go. I've got the Strathmore mixed media so I could make my own journal if I like the paper, which I do. And then I've got some inks because my permanent ink by, I think it's Stazon, is running out. And I also got a few extra colours in the Distress because it's quite fun for journaling ephemera. Speaking of ephemera, I also ordered a little random pack of bits and bobs, so I can get in here. Yeah, bits of paper, you know, it's nice to have places to write and not always have to reinvent the wheel yourself, and have a few bits and bobs, I think, to inspire and write and things like that. So they look quite nice. Who was that by? In the Mirror Vintage Material Pack. Moking Travel. So you can see that there. That's who that's by. And then what is in here? Aha! Now this is my little kit for journaling. So I've just bought a little cheap and cheerful kit where I've got a little tool for puncturing holes, a folding tool, and some threads, waxed threads, different colours. I thought the different colours would be quite fun to try for stitching. And I think in there is some chunky needles. So yeah, there's some needles, look. I just bought a little kit because I don't have anything like this. As I said earlier, I haven't done this for years. So yeah, some scoring and folding tools to help make your papers nice. Not really necessary, those. Any sharp point will do the job for that. Most people have got some chunky needles lying around. And if you haven't got waxed cord, you can either wax or beeswax some strong thread, or you can use dental floss as well, because that's waxed. So you don't need a special kit for it, but I just thought that'll help me out and speed things up a little bit for me, I think, because having the correct tools does help. I really like rounding the corner of things, and I do have a set of mini prints with rounded corners in my shop. And I often cut round corners, but of course they're not perfect. So I thought if I want to make my journal with rounded corners, I'm going to need a little corner cutter. And this does, I don't know if you can see there, but it says there's an S, M and an L, so small, medium and large corners depending on where you put it. So I'll play with that in a bit. And obviously that's something that you can use on anything, so quite a handy bit of kit to have. And then the last thing I bought, I've got alphabet stamps, but they're really, really budget ones, and I wanted a nicer set. This wasn't expensive. I think it was about £8, so £8 UK pounds. But I just wanted a bit of a nicer set, and also it's got different letters. So what's quite nice when you're stamping words and things like that is obviously to have a mixture of different fonts. So I thought as a little sort of inspiring addition to my kit, if you like. So I haven't spent loads here, I've just kind of gone pretty budget. These look pretty bad, so we'll give those a go. I'm not sure whether I'll use many of those colours by the looks of. Maybe those colours. We'll see. I'm quite excited to see these. If I can get in. Oh yeah, they look great. And the thing I like about this set, above the other sets I have, they have a little bit more organisation, and so they're a little bit easier to find than having them just all really loose and stuff. So I've got uppercase, lowercase, numbers, an ampersand, and a bit of punctuation. So that looks pretty good to me. Quite sweet. So I'll just get rid of the rubbish and then I might have a little play. So I've gathered a few bits and bobs, papers, to maybe start putting together my own stitched journal. And so I wanted to add in here, I've got some craft paper. Don't know if I can get the light any better for us because the light's going, it gets dark early here now. I'll try not to get too much shadow. And then I've got pretty paper, music paper. This is an old poster that I tore up. Some black Khadi paper. Yeah, so I've got a mix of papers. So what I thought I would do is kind of put together probably two signatures, maybe one, see how fat it gets. And yeah, you can see here, I've actually ripped these pages out of this book here, and obviously not too brilliantly. So what I'm going to try and do is a little fix with the washi tape. And see if I can kind of reinforce it a bit so that I can stitch through the tape. Because I really wanted some craft paper in here. And if you've never made your own book before, don't be fooled by me, because yes, I have made my own books before, but not for years. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. So I'm just literally going to try and work it out as I go along and not worry about it, basically. This washi tape's so old that it keeps tearing. It's actually okay, that piece though, so that's good. I don't know if that's going to hold or not, but I think it'll do. So I'm just going to organise the paper in some sort of order. I've got, there's my new little tool, little rounded folding tool, so let's just try that out. Quite handy for thicker papers. So let's just speed this up a little bit, shall we? So I've just kind of sorted those into two piles, and now I am going to kind of put them together, mixing them up a little bit and not worrying too much about things. And I'm not going to make them match. I'm going to do them differently. I think that's going to need sticking down with something else apart from just the washi tape. But anyway, not to worry. Yeah, I will be trimming some of these bigger pieces down, but I don't want them necessarily to all be the same. So that gives me 2 signatures. Let's just have a little flip through, check. This is the kind of random situation that I'm after. And then if I want to, say, do a nice arty something, I've got some really nice, that's the Strathmore mixed media paper to do that. And I've got a little bit of the Khadi black, as you can see. And then I can always gesso things and add in different papers as well, depending on what I want to journal. And probably brighten up some of the backs of this paper. So that's kind of what it's looking like. I think that's enough pages as well that I want to add. Let me just have a little rummage. Hang on 1 second. Now, these are things that I got from a place called The Works in the UK, and it's a real discount budget kind of crafty shop. These are some heavier kind of cardstock type things. So maybe something like this would be good for the cover. Yeah, I think I'm going to tear these down and stitch them together as 2 signatures. And then I'm going to ponder on maybe a cover or something. Yeah, I'm not sure. See how we get on. So let's just have a look, see where I'm at so far. I've just ripped up both of the signatures, so I've kind of just torn off tops and bottoms and made pages narrower and things like that. And so I've got my 2 signatures. I'm going to put it that way round. And I've had a rummage in my box, and I think I'm going to make the cover out of these 2 sheets of cardstock. And I've got my bits and bobs ready for sewing. And then I've got a couple of other pieces of cardstock that I might use to decorate the inside cover, because I don't like this side. So I thought this could be the outside of the cover. And what colour thread to use? I might go with a darker thread, I'm thinking. I quite like that. That's kind of grey. Just got a pile of rubbish on the floor where I've been tearing things. I'm being really, really lazy, but yeah, just can't be bothered to tidy up as I go along, really, today. Can't find the end of the thread. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, it's all waxed, so that's going to help it pass through the paper. I think that's why they wax it. And then let's see. Oh, these are pretty fab, aren't they? So if I get... That's probably going to be fat enough. Don't need uber fat. So let's just check the positions before I stitch together. You might want to be neater if you're going to do this than me. I'm not super neat. One there. And then one here, like that. Do I want 3 holes or do I want 4? I think 3 is probably enough. So I might do one there. one there, and one there. So let's just have a look at the stitching then. So I'm just going to go in here, out here, and then along to this one. Kind of finding it easy without the clips actually, for some strange reason. Can kind of wiggle to find the hole. I'll just have a little rummage down here just to check. I think we're through, yes. Just make sure it's nice and tight before I tie. It's pretty tight. So let's see what we've got then on this one. And I can always reduce the size of some of the pages if I want to. Obviously reinforce this washi tape fix that I did. I might just put more tape on that. And I'm going to reinforce the holes as well, because this is really flimsy paper, probably the flimsiest I've got. But yeah. You could do all matching paper, or you could choose different papers. I love the fact that it's all uneven sizes, if you know what I mean. Now I've got to work out how to do the cover. So let's put all the sharp things away. Get my cutting mat out, or rather James's cutting mat that I stole off him ages ago. So I'm going to need a little bit of spine, but not loads. Kind of thinking, let's get rid of just looking at the pattern, and I'm thinking I'm just going to cut the end off. Just turn my mat around. So I'm just doing this by eye. Don't quite like it that dark. And then again, just chop off the other side. Obviously carefully measured. There we go. So I'm just thinking, if I glue those together and then score a little spine, I'm going to cover up that anyway and do something a little bit like this to make it like a composition book, I think. I'm just going to score quite a thin spine. So that should give me the kind of thing that I'm looking for. And then if I go to the bottom, let's see, have I got a pencil somewhere? somewhere like that, I'm thinking. And then let's extend that. Something like that. I'm going to cut just outside the line to give myself a little bit of leeway, I think. And obviously if you are a measuring type of person, then try not to be cross with me, but yeah, not measuring today, that's for sure. Okay, so obviously I'm going to have to chop some off here as well. So again, I'm just going to make a little loose mark, just to give me a little idea of where I need to cut. Giving myself a little bit of leeway as well. Let's give it a little extra here, and then I'm going to measure front and back. Oh, and the extra thing here as well, doing, let's try the large corners. It's pretty cool, I like my little gadget. So it's starting to look like a little composition, but look, this one's got rounded corners, and I need some kind of strip. Yeah, so I'm thinking that looks about right. So let's get rid of that bit. So this cover now has been kind of cut to size with a little bit of a spine. And I need to reinforce it. So, as I said, I don't like this design or colour. So I kind of thought maybe I can line it with something else. And maybe something a bit more plain, I'm not sure. That looks quite nice. Okay, I'm just going to cut these to size. So, as you can see, it's starting to get a bit dark now, and yeah, it's kind of messy everywhere, but I don't care. And sorry about the light and everything, but I've just put like a pot underneath, just in case there's glue on here. I don't want it to stick, but I'm going to leave that overnight now to dry out properly, and I've coated both sides as you've seen, and it kind of, once it's dry, the Mod Podge it's quite sticky, but it kind of goes like a little bit faux leathery is kind of how I'm thinking, and obviously it strengthens it as well, gives it like a seal. So if I drip something on it, for example, which I probably will, but I think I'm going to go and wash my brush and then go home. So I will see you in here tomorrow. Let's just see, shall we? Something like straight-ish. So I was going to have tea with you, then daughter came on and we've been talking all things Jallow, which is her new shop. I mean, I'm not the best advert today because literally my dungies are covered in, what should we say, muck, as my mum would say, mucky pup. But please note, Jasmine, I do have my Comfort Fit Jallow shirt on, so yeah, doing my bit for Jallow fam, if you like. So if you've got little ones, she's doing leggings and basics and lots of stripes and really fun prints, really comfy and really uber soft cotton as well. So I'm really grateful today actually for comfy clothes because I've got my Lady Moon times, so I kind of felt like staying at home. But then I remembered I've got my journal to finish, so I want to stitch in the signatures and yeah, add some little bits and bobs to set it up. So I came in late though. I will link the Jasmine Jallow shop in the description below though, if you have a love for stripes as well. The only thing actually available at the moment for grown-ups is this t-shirt, which is called the Big T, and it's a slouchy fit, so it's really, really comfy. I'm hoping she's going to do some dungies. Yeah, I think she is. I think I've persuaded her. We've just been trying to work out the EU postage situation, so because of the Britain not being in the EU anymore, and you have to put like VAT numbers and things on your parcels or they get sent back to you. So yeah, there's a few new rules which makes it a little bit more complicated, but I think we've got our heads around it now. So I have got quite a lot going on in the studio today, as in it's a mess, but I've got jewellery over here which still needs finishing. I've got jewellery over there which still needs finishing. I've got my journals over there which still needs finishing. And then I've got a pile of mess over there because I've been making a journal. So I've been rummaging a lot through my stuff, haven't I? I've also found in my rummaging these little pressed flowers. So I don't know if you can pick that up because the light's a bit funny, but flowers. These are actually from the garden of where I used to have a house, when I had a house. Well, it was a house we weren't renting. We didn't own it, we had a mortgage, a really big mortgage as well. But yeah, they are from the garden and it was a lovely garden. And you might say, why did you leave? That's another story, a very long one as well. But I might do some daisy additions to maybe some of my paintings, or maybe put them in my journal as well. That's what I'm thinking anyway. I'm going to have my tea first and wake up properly because I haven't slept much at all. Yeah. And I'm hoping this video isn't too long. I'm wondering whether I've made my spine too thick. I'm going to maybe need another signature in there. I don't know. Two's probably okay for now, but I obviously need to trim the excess off, and then I'm going to reinforce the spine as well, and then I am going to attach those inside, stitch them in basically. So I'll be back in a minute when I've trimmed that. So I just need to reinforce, but I've basically done the corners. Some of them aren't perfect, but probably could do that one a bit better actually. I don't think I stuck it in. It's a bit better. Stick it in far enough if you like. So I'm just going to reinforce this spine before I start stitching in the two signatures. So I'm probably going to have to reinforce that some more, and I might even stick a different band, maybe some fabric or some different tape on there. I'm not sure. I haven't finished, but yeah, just looking at the composition books, they've got a nice piece of fabric glued around, so that might finish it off. I don't know. So I'm just going to stitch these in now. And which way up do I want it? That's kind of a bit rough and ready, so it's kind of that way up, but then that's not my favourite. I think I like this side better, but I can always cover that. Decisions. So I'm literally having a little sit down now because I'm a tired girl. And yeah, I'm hoping this matches up okay. But yeah, as I say, I'm no expert at doing this. And so if I can do it, then anyone can do it. So let's get some thread. I'm thinking of having a rummage in my trinkets and ribbons and laces and things like that, and really sticking a few little additions in, some fabric tabs or something like that. So I'm going to attach them separately first of all, making sure that they're the right way up and where I want them. And then I think what I'm going to do is to actually stitch through the hole I made yesterday and then attach it right through here. That's what I'm going to do. I might do it into the centre, and then I'm thinking of gluing those together because this paper's really flimsy as well. So I'll just move you so you can see what I'm doing. So I'll just show you how I'm stitching these in, because it's not the conventional way that you would professionally get shown. If you want to be a bit more precise and do it the proper way, then you might want to look up a different tutorial than this one. But hey, I'm going to do an unconventional version, and because you see, the traditional way of doing it is that when you stitch your signatures together, you actually stitch them into the spine of your book. But I've just done it separately, basically. That's all I've done. So I've taken the needle through the centre and I'm just attaching it exactly how I did the signatures. So in through the hole, back through all of these. If I can get through, it's not the same hole. If I can get through, I have to go through a few separately so you can see what you're doing, and then back through here. Make sure nice and tight, and then all the way up to the other hole, and then nice and tight. Keep a long enough tail though to tie it at the end, and then I'll try and go through a bit more exact on this part, doing a better job of this hole, and then through the back, turn over, and you can see here's the one I've done there as well, and then back through the centre, through all of my layers. And then just like with the grey, I'm going to tie it in a double or triple knot, nice and tight, making sure that my pages aren't too tight though. And then I'm going to do 3 knots, trim off. So now I've got everything in the book stitched in. You can see there, and that's what that looks like. So now it's the fun bit where we can start to decorate our new journal. So I may need to continue to reinforce that spine as I use the book. And it doesn't matter about this line here because I'm going to cover this inside cover at some point, not today. And I'm going to make some additions to some of the pages as well. And as I say, I might stick those two centre ones together to strengthen it, and also we'll hide that bit there. And I've got another, what's in the centre of this one? Yeah, here. So I might just stick those. It's really flimsy paper, that one. And I might do some round corners as well. I think before I leave today though, I'm going to do a little something on the front and back covers. I'm just going to work a little bit on the cover. And I've made a little label to sort of stick on. And all I've done there, that's an old book page and then a little bit of collage scrap paper that I found in my box. And then I stamped on there. And I added a little bit of the distress ink on the edges as well, just to make it look a bit more vintage. So I think I'm going to stick that on the front. And then the other thing I really like is when you've got like a string to wrap round. So I found, I don't know whether this one will look nice, let's see. So that'll hold it all together when it starts to get fat, which will help keep it all together. And then, yeah, something like that. I might add a bit of glitter as well, I'm thinking. And then what else can I add? I've got a couple of things here, so I might just put that there, my happy place on there. And then I can make additions to the front cover or change it as and when I want to. So I think I'm going to stick those down. Just added a layer of varnish, a Liquitex one, so it's kind of like a mid-range but still a professional quality. I've got to seal all that in if it's going to have a little bit of longevity, but it will get battered. I'm sure I'll have to do some repairs. And what else shall I add? I'm just pondering on adding a little bit of glitter, so I will go and have a rummage and come back to you. Gosh, I'm really thinking this video is going to be far too long, but anyway, there's just one little thing that I want to add before I say goodbye, and I will be doing some more additions, and so I will probably share those in the next video with you, as well as doing some journaling in there as well. So I've just got a piece of cotton string really, and I'm just going to wind it round a few times. I don't want to touch that glitter yet because it's going to take a little while to dry. Keep away from the glitter. And that just sort of ties it up. And then as it gets fatter, that will keep it together as well. Just adds a little bit of something. And then I put a little thing on the back. Not finished the back yet, and obviously painted the spine. So yeah, that's what it's looking like now. And I'm going to leave it for now, although I might do some little additions, as I say. And then we can start working in it. So maybe if you can't find a journal as well, you can make your own, just like I did. It's really, really not complicated. And as I say, I haven't done a proper job. I've just done a kind of, yeah, wobbly job. So if you've been here before, you probably know what I'm going to say, which is try to keep your lights shining bright. and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.